In our headlines on this Tuesday afternoon, February 13th, rampant airstrikes by Israeli forces on the southern city of Rafah in the wee hours of Monday have reportedly killed over 100 Palestinians as international alarm mounts over a planned ground offensive. Meanwhile, former US President Donald Trump sets off much alarm within NATO as he claims he would let Russia attack any member of NATO that has failed to meet its financial obligations for border security. And here in South Korea, President Yoon Byungwoo is taking talks on public livelihoods to beyond the Greater Seoul area to the southern and central regions of the country to expand the platform for related discussions. The Palestinian city of Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip has endured air assaults by Israel for months. But Monday's attacks have fueled fresh fears over the potential civilian casualties of a widely expected ground operation. Our Yoon reports.
The Israel Defense Forces attacked Gaza's southern city of Rafah and surrounding areas overnight Monday, with jets targeting different areas of the city and helicopters firing machine guns along border areas. More than 100 people, including children, were killed in what CNN called extremely intense Israeli airstrikes. According to a Palestinian media source, Israel conducted about 40 airstrikes on the Rafah region in the early hours of the morning in an area where 1.4 million Gazans have taken refuge since the conflict began. The White House reported that in a call with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday, President Joe Biden pushed back on the planned military operation in Rafah, telling the Israeli leader that Israel should not proceed without a credible and executive plan to protect the Palestinian civilians sheltering there. However, Netanyahu brushed off international warnings and criticism, saying that telling Israel not to enter Rafah was like telling the country to lose the war. The Israel Defense Force proceeded with the airstrikes despite a firestorm of criticism, with Human Rights Watch saying the forced displacement of Palestinians in Rafah would have catastrophic consequences, while the United Nations said it was extremely worried about the fate of civilians in Rafah who need to be protected. Following his meeting in Washington with Jordan's King Abdullah on Monday, the U.S. president said the United States is pushing for a 6-week pause in the fighting between Israel and Hamas in Gaza as a stepping stone towards a longer ceasefire.
As the King and I discussed today, the United States is working on a hostage deal between Israel and Hamas, which would bring an immediate and sustained period of calm to Gaza for at least 6 weeks, which we could then take the time to build something more enduring.
Meanwhile, Hamas said Monday that 3 Israeli hostages died from wounds sustained during the intense Israeli attacks over the weekend. According to the Israel Defense Forces, 2 Israeli hostages were rescued Monday, having both spent 128 days in captivity. They are said to be in relatively good condition and have been reunited with their families. Israel says there are still over 130 Israelis being held hostage. Yoon, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, in the U.S., former President Donald Trump appears to stand in support of a Russian attack against NATO members who failed to spend on defense. Now, current President Joe Biden, in response, has shared his shock at Mr. Trump's stance. Our Ising has details.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday told NATO members that they would need to pay their dues if they want military assistance from the United States. His comments drew immense criticism, as he said he would encourage Russia to do whatever they want to any NATO member country that doesn't meet defense spending guidelines.
And one of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
Responding to Trump's remarks, U.S. President Joe Biden slammed his likely presidential opponent, saying that the former president is making it clear that he is willing to abandon its allies. Biden added that Trump's message gives Putin a green light for more war and violence, calling his remarks appalling and dangerous. In a statement Monday, NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg said any suggestions that NATO allies will not defend each other undermines their security and puts American and European soldiers at increased risk. He added that there are still expectations that regardless of who wins the presidential election, the U.S. will remain a strong and committed NATO ally. Trump's remarks come on the back of a NATO report released last year, which showed that only 11 of the then 30-member alliance were spending 2% of GDP or more on defense. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In other news, Bitcoin reclaimed the $50,000 mark and beyond on Monday, with demand soaring on Wall Street following the approval of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds in the U.S. earlier last month. Our Lee Soo-jin has more.
Bitcoin has surpassed the $50,000 level for the first time in more than 2 years. According to U.S. cryptocurrency platform Coinbase, at 12:26 p.m. on Monday U.S. Eastern Time, Bitcoin surged 3.65% from the previous day. This marks the first time since December 2021 that the cryptocurrency has been valued at more than $50,000 per coin. The world's largest cryptocurrency was boosted by last month's regulatory approval by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to allow the creation of Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, as well as a growing interest from Wall Street in the tech industry. The massive outflows from Grayscale Investments' Grayscale Bitcoin Trust after it received approval from the SEC to convert its existing $28 billion in assets under management into an ETF have also begun to subside. Following the approval of the long-awaited ETFs on January 10th, the cryptocurrency briefly tumbled below the $40,000 level, but has since been on an upward trend. Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency, was also up nearly 2% to pass the $2,000 mark on the same day. And the renewed interest from investors in the tech industry was also evident when U.S. AI chipmaker NVIDIA briefly overtook Amazon in terms of market capitalization for the first time since 2002, when they were both valued at under $6 billion. On Monday local time, NVIDIA's market cap passed that of Amazon's to briefly become the fourth most valuable U.S.-listed company before closing with a valuation behind the e-commerce giant. The primary driver behind NVIDIA temporarily surpassing Amazon is the global frenzy surrounding artificial intelligence, further raising expectations that the chipmaker may become a $2 trillion company this year. NVIDIA currently holds around 80% of the high-end AI chip market, leading its shares to surge a whopping 223% over the past 12 months. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
And Samsung maintained its place as Korea's most popular smartphone brand in the year 2023. According to research firm Counterpoint Research on Tuesday, Samsung Electronics accounted for 73% of the market last year. Apple, for its part, surpassed the 25% mark for the first time. Samsung kept its lead in the local market, while global smartphone sales retreated 8% on year. The release of the Galaxy S23 last year saw Samsung selling over 1.09 million phones during the pre-order period. Also here in Korea, service robots are looking to be a tangible part of our daily lives in the very near future. In fact, as my colleague An Sung-jin says, they're already making outdoor deliveries in some places. To take a look.
A robot strolls down the street, on its way to deliver a freshly packed meal without any human assistance. The company behind it, Robotis, has created indoor and outdoor autonomous delivery robots to further cement its position in the market. Based on a deep learning algorithm, the robot can detect obstacles, wait for the traffic lights, and reach its destination. It's called Kemi, which means ant in Korean. These robotic worker ants focus on short-distance delivery from restaurants and cafes to nearby offices and residential areas, while indoor robots work in hotels and offices. What would have taken me 20 minutes on a delivery app only took this robot less than 10 minutes. Pick up my meal from a restaurant and have it perfectly delivered it to me. Robots like this are becoming more and more integrated into our daily lives for added convenience. The company says it aims to fill jobs that humans don't want to do.
Many people are concerned that robots will take jobs from humans, but the 3D, dirty, dangerous and demeaning jobs are already in need of workers. If robots can provide not only delivery services, but also fill labour shortages in these areas, that's the ultimate goal that would fill us with a great deal of pride.
This company that develops serving robots for the restaurant industry is also looking to help with labor shortages and has more than 2,000 robots located in restaurants all over the country.
Despite having a long history, the restaurant industry lacks digitalization, but that means it has a lot of potential. These types of robots have so much space for growth since demand at other indoor environments is increasing as well.
The South Korean government announced plans to provide 1 million robots in the industrial sector by investing more than 3 trillion won, or $2.27 billion by the year 2030. The Trade Ministry also aims to loosen 51 robot-related regulations that have hampered further use, especially for autonomous robots.
It's great that the government amended its policies. However, the key task we have left is enhancing national competitiveness to compete with Chinese companies that receive sufficient subsidies from their government to manufacture at low prices. If the same were to be implemented in Korea, it would help small and medium-sized companies to conduct pilot services.
Although there's a lot still to be done to boost the country's robotics industry, the needs of the companies that make them need to be addressed. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol is poised to take talks on public livelihoods to beyond the Greater Seoul area to the southern and central regions of the country to expand the platform for related discussions. According to the presidential office this past weekend, President Yoon will travel to the cities of Busan, Daegu and more for the next round of town hall sessions. The past 10 such sessions took place in Seoul and its surrounding Gyeonggi-do province, with members of the public and pundits here taking part. The upcoming discussion will cover balanced regional growth under the theme of comfortable living anywhere nationwide. And online food delivery here in Korea fell for the first time last year, partly owing to higher delivery fees. According to Statistics Korea on this Tuesday, the size of the market last year stood at roughly $19.9 billion, down 0.6% on year. Now, this is the first time for the market to shrink since the start of data collection back in 2017. The online food delivery market grew tangibly from some $2 billion in 2017 to around $20 billion in 2022. A cultural initiative based in the U.S. is celebrating 20 years of efforts to share Korea's traditional music and literature with the American audience. Our Yoon has more.
The Sejong Cultural Society in Illinois has been working to raise awareness and understanding of Korea's cultural heritage among people in the United States. This year, the society is celebrating its 20th anniversary with a special Korean-themed concert. At the Galvin Recital Hall in Evanston, Illinois, performers included past winners of the Sejong Cultural Society's annual music competition for pre-college students. The competition itself was aimed at raising awareness of traditional Korean music. Participants perform one required piece and one of their own choosing.
They are so busy studying their own standard repertoire, so we wanted our required piece not too long, so usually 3 minutes or less, and must contain some Korean musical theme. So 20 years ago, we couldn't find any piece like that.
The Sejong Cultural Society has collected over 150 music pieces from talented composers who understand the goal of composing short yet creative instrumental solos for the piano and violin using Korean traditional melodies. It's these contemporary songs that were performed at the concert, with the composer's commentary explaining how they have implemented the traditional elements from the original song. Carissa, who won the senior division in 2015, played Joy of Onghea, a violin solo piece based on a Korean folk song.
We realized that competitions like Sejong really make a difference in young musicians' lives and help them become better artists. So I'm really honored and happy to have been able to help celebrate Sejong's 20th anniversary.
One of the cultural events that are organized annually is a shijo competition, which introduces a traditional Korean poetic form of writing. Workshops for middle and high school teachers mean that more students can learn about Korean poetry. And by fostering cross-cultural understanding, the Sejong Cultural Society says it hopes to contribute to the harmonious existence of various ethnic backgrounds.
I think it's not only Korean descendants, but non-Koreans also appreciate this kind of music. And this is the time that we need more cross-cultural training, education. Multicultural competency is what they need to develop. So this is just one small thing that we can add.
Yoon, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, digital technology at the National Museum of Korea is offering those interested the chance to indulge in a historic monument currently located well beyond Korean borders. Our Choi Soo-young explains.
The National Museum of Korea is currently exhibiting the Stele of King Gwanggaeto the Great, which has been recreated digitally. LEDs adorn the four sides of the reconstruction, reproducing the script on the original stele that is actually situated in the city of Jian in Jilin Province, northeast China. The stele, erected in the year 414 by his son King Changsu to commemorate King Gwanggaeto's achievements, stands almost 6.39 meters with 1,775 characters carved into its four sides. It is one of the most significant research resources about the history of the Goguryeo kingdom. The museum said it took over a year to create, using meticulous 3D photos and videos to reproduce its appearance faithfully.
Gwanggaeto's stele is an important artifact in Goguryeo history, and it is impossible to explain this history without it. Due to its distant location, we've meticulously restored it with advanced digital video technology, capturing texture, size, and inscriptions in detail to make it accessible.
Other noteworthy items are rubbing copies. The raw stone rubbings displayed here are used as a crucial reference to decipher what's inscribed on the Gwanggaeto stele. There are two types of rubbings, raw stone and lime, with the former being closer to the actual inscribed characters on the stele. Moreover, as the Gwanggaeto stele was created by the people of Goguryeo in 414, it contains vivid content not found in history books.
I'm really impressed with this majestic monument because it contains of the rules of the society, the ancient society, and also it contains of some history, so it's really interesting.
King Gwanggaeto became king when he was 18 and passed away early. Fortunately, rubbings of the Gwanggaeto stele have been discovered. I want to learn more about King Gwanggaeto's life.
The museum plans to strengthen its content on the history and culture of Goguryeo following this reconstruction. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News.
Korean researchers have taken a step forward to putting into practice the philosophy of clearing the mind for better health. They've traced the main pathway through which waste products are eliminated from the brain. Our Cha Won-ju tells us more about this finding and its implications.
When we use our brains, a kind of waste product is generated. If this waste is not expelled from the brain and accumulates, can damage nerve cells, leading to brain disorders including dementia. The problem has been that the major pathways for waste, including cerebrospinal fluid, to exit the brain were a mystery. South Korean researchers, however, have found the central pathway through which cerebrospinal fluid exits the brain. Cerebrospinal fluid collects in the lymphatic network behind the nose, or the nasopharyngeal lymphatic plexus. It then connects to the neck lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes, playing a role in removing cerebrospinal fluid from the brain.
Our research team precisely visualized the cerebrospinal fluid drainage pathways at the base of the brain and in the neck, using specially engineered mice that express fluorescent proteins in lymphatic vessels.
The key finding is that the lymphatic network behind the nose serves as a hub for the cerebrospinal fluid drainage pathway. The research team confirmed that aging causes deformation of the lymphatic network behind the nose, leading to a reduction in cerebrospinal fluid drainage. Interestingly, there was no deformation observed in the neck lymphatic vessels due to aging. Utilizing this, the team induced the contraction and relaxation of muscle cells in the neck lymphatic vessels through drug control, resulting in those vessels functioning like a pump, making it easier to extract cerebrospinal fluid.
We aim to develop a method to efficiently stimulate the lymphatic vessels in the neck to facilitate the drainage of the cerebrospinal fluid, essentially cleaning the brain. This could become a new foundation for the prevention and treatment of neurodegenerative brain diseases, including dementia.
The research team emphasized the significance of this study in that they confirmed the regulation of cerebrospinal fluid drainage, including waste, can be easily controlled not from the head but from the neck. The research team is currently researching the pathway for cerebrospinal fluid drainage in primate animal models, obtaining results similar to those in mice. The results of this study were published in the international academic journal Nature. 정은주, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In the United States, the country's Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, was put under general anesthesia on Monday to treat an emergent bladder issue. Austin has transferred his duties to his deputy following his hospitalization on Sunday. According to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, Austin had non-surgical procedures under general anesthesia. Although doctors said in a statement on Monday that Austin will be able to resume his duties by Tuesday and that a prolonged hospital stay is not anticipated, the U.S. Defense Secretary was forced to cancel a planned trip to Brussels for the meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group due at the end of the week. This is Austin's third hospitalization since his prostate cancer diagnosis at the end of December. In Finland, Conservative former Prime Minister Alexander Stubb has claimed victory in the Finnish presidential election. According to the Finnish Justice Ministry on Sunday, the National Coalition Party candidate won 51.6% of the votes, narrowly beating independent Green Party candidate Pekka Haavisto. Having been Finland's first election since it joined the NATO last year, 55-year-old Stubb is expected to take a hardline approach towards Russia's war on Ukraine, saying that he doesn't see any kind of communication with Putin or with the Russian political leadership in the near future. In sports news, Côte d'Ivoire have won the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. The Ivorians secured a trophy with a 2-1 victory in Sunday's AFCON final against Nigeria at their home ground, the Alassane Ouattara Stadium, in the Côte d'Ivoire city of Abidjan. Ivorians Franck Kessie and Sébastien Haller each scored in the second half of the final after Nigerian defender William Troost Ekong scored in the first half. 2023 AFCON host nation Côte d'Ivoire are the first host country to win the Cup of Nations since Egypt in 2006. Pop star Taylor Swift was at the Super Bowl on Sunday to celebrate her boyfriend Travis Kelce's triumph with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelce, who plays tight end for the Chiefs, saw his team beat the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday and was seen celebrating afterward with Swift at their Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Taylor Swift is currently on a world tour and performed in Tokyo just a day before the Super Bowl. Many speculated she wouldn't be able to make it to the game, but flying in a private jet straight after a show, she landed with around 2 hours to spare before kickoff. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. The weather shifted toward the spring side after the long holiday weekend. Temperatures will soar to the mid to upper teens by the afternoon, going up nearly 10 degrees Celsius from the seasonal norms. Especially those in Daegu could notice temperature gaps of nearly 20 degrees today. If it weren't for the fine dust, it would be a perfect day to spend time outdoors. Central regions in Jeollabuk-do Province and Gwangju will have bad air quality cloudy all day again, with Incheon under an ultra-fine dust advisory. But the rest of the country should have decent air to breathe in, so enjoy the weather if you can. Early March warms for most regions this afternoon at 14 degrees here in the capital. Busan topping out at 17 degrees. But coastal regions will be quite windy all day, while dust-affected areas are having sunny skies blurred by the dust. Tomorrow will be even warmer than today before a wintry mix on Thursday brings down the temperatures to near seasonal averages. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
And on that note, we end our Tuesday afternoon newscast. We return with our daily panel session right after this break, so do stay with us.